live whale pod. As I was mentioning, they are much, much smaller than the male killer whales. That is typical of killer whales. The boys get a lot bigger and the females stay a little bit smaller, which makes it very impressive that killer whales live in what's called a matriarchal society. So that means that the most eldest female is typically the dominant animal of the pod, and she's in control of their social hierarchy. Now here, our matriarch is Takara. She's hanging out with Jenny over there, gave you a wave. And directly in front of us right now, looks like Sakari and Kamea are gonna give you guys a wave hello. Okay, Joel's told us that we're gonna hear some vocalizations from Sakari and Kamea right now. All of these sounds you're about to hear are coming out of the blowhole on top of their head. Vocal cords like you and I. They use that blowhole on top of their head to make all these sounds. Now Sakari is actually on the left right here with Joel, and Kamea's on the right with Taylor. They are actually the offspring of Takara, who's over there, so they are sisters. Lately, it has been really, really interesting to watch their social dynamic with each other, because it looks like Takara is actually starting to train Sakari how to be a matriarch. So it's really cool to see their interactions outside of the times that we're hanging out with them. But you guys are here to see what we do throughout the day when we hang out with the killer whales. And a lot of what we do, it changes from day to day. That's one of the things that makes it reinforcing not only for us, but more importantly for the killer whales. We don't want every single day to be the same for them. So today we're doing our Dine with Orcas with the three females right here. And right now it looks like Joel and Taylor are kind of engaging in a back rub with both Sakari and Kamea. This is one of the tools that we can use to just build our relationships with them. You guys might hear us say this a lot, but it's obviously really important that we have mutual trust with these animals. They are very large and powerful, and we want to make sure that we can communicate effectively on both directions, so that we can communicate effectively with them, and they can also communicate effectively with us, what they like, what they might find more reinforcing. As you see right now, Sakari's just hanging out. It seems like she's really enjoying this fluke massage right here. Especially the female killer whales, they do really seem to enjoy these body rubs, and oftentimes solicit this type of attention from us trainers, even when we're just passing by the pool and not asking them to come hang out with us. So it's fun to see how they are trying to choose to interact with us as well. Now I am going to talk a little bit about their physical appearance. Obviously they have a beautiful, striking coloration. All animals do typically have a form of camouflage, but you might be wondering how this black and white coloration can help killer whales camouflage. And more importantly, what are they hiding from? They are the apex predators of the ocean, so they do not have any natural predators that would be hunting them. So that means that they need to stay camouflaged to make them more effective hunters. Now, first thing I'll point out is they obviously have a very beautiful black top on the top of their body and a white belly. That's referred to as counter shading, and how that helps them to camouflage is if you can imagine them swimming in the ocean and there's an animal on top of them. That black top will blend in with the darker ocean floor. And then vice versa, if there was an animal underneath them looking up, that white belly is going to blend in with the light coming in from the sky. They also have a gray saddle patch, which is unique to each killer whale, very similar to a human fingerprint. That's actually something that researchers who follow populations of killer whales in the ocean will utilize to identify the killer whales. And then the last thing I'll point out is their eye patch on the side of their head. Joel's going to point to it right there. And their eye is right in front of it. They do have really good vision, both above and below the water. It is one of the things that they use to interact socially with each other. You know, seeing their body movements and interacting with each other is a very important part of their life. But also that eyesight would be utilized to help make them effective hunters. Something else that's going to help them be very effective hunters is their ability to echolocate. So just like bats have the ability to echolocate, killer whales and most whales and dolphins have this ability as well. And how their echolocation works is they actually produce a click train utilizing that blowhole once again. And that giant melon, so that lump on the front of their head, will be used to amplify these sounds. As the sounds travel through the environment, they're going to bounce off of things that they might be hunting or looking for and return to the killer whale. And they can actually create an image that, out of those sound waves that they've seen. So they have some pretty cool adaptations that have definitely helped them to survive in their natural environment. That being said, their natural environment is any ocean around the world. They are more commonly seen in colder waters, but they have been seen even in the Gulf of Mexico. So depending on where they live, that's going to be what they hunt and prey on, and what dependent is what is available for them. So Joel and Taylor are going to demonstrate something that is very important, but it looks really easy. This is a fluke present. We actually have trained most of the animals here at Seaworld to voluntarily sit for a blood collection from our veterinarians. So in this position, they have the ability to hold their breath for about 5 to 10 minutes, very calmly and relaxed. Our veterinarians can collect blood from those tail flukes, and they'll kind of just hang out and remain calm throughout that entire process. Something you might be able to see right now is that they do have belly buttons. That little black dot in the center of their belly is their belly button, because they are mammals just like you and I. So being mammals, that means that they breathe air, they're warm-blooded, they give live birth, nurse their young, and that they actually have hair at some point in their life. Obviously, these killer whales do not have lots of hair right now, but they are born with little whiskers on the sides of their rostrum that go away a couple days after birth. Now, I think Sakari and Kamea are going to do behavior in the middle of the pool for you guys. Now, when they just did that behavior, you might have heard a whistle noise. Did anyone hear the whistle? Yeah, a couple people heard it. All right, listen up for it, because this is one of the most important tools with how we train and interact with the killer whales. But all this whistle really does is tell the whales that they have done the behavior that we have asked them to do correctly. We do have other ways that we can tell the whales that. You might have just noticed Joel tapping on the wall. We can throw a fish, and we even have an underwater tone system that communicates with the killer whales. All of the training that we do here is through positive reinforcement training. So that means that we focus on when the animals do something correctly, they get some kind of reinforcement that they might like. That can be fish, ice, jello. The lady killer whales here really seem to enjoy visual enrichment. They're about to slide up here on the slide out for you guys. Going to get your cameras ready. And once again, we have Sakari on the left and Kamea on the right. Sakari is her older sister. She's 11, and Kamea is 7. So Sakari is a little bit larger than Kamea. A lot of people often ask us how we can tell them apart. As we get to know them longer, it's definitely easier for us to see differences, but they have some unique characteristics. Sakari actually has a couple freckles on her lower rostrum, and she has a bubble in her eye patch over here. On top of all of the training that we do here that obviously benefits the animals in our care, our pod of killer whales has also participated in some research studies. One of them that was particularly cool was called the hearing study. Now, that is exactly as it sounds. We were trying to test the hearing frequency and range of our pod of killer whales. So actually, Kayukin and Tuar, the whales that you guys first met today, were the ones who participated in that. It was a pretty simple concept to get that information, but what that actually allowed us to do, working with the researchers, was to give that information to the government, and legislation was actually passed to create quiet areas for boating traffic, because they were finding that the noise from boating traffic was interfering with communication and hunting abilities of the killer whales. So Kayukin and Tuar were the stars of that study. Other research studies that these whales have participated in, one was a morphometric study. So morphometrics is really just the overall size of the animals. We took measurements such as length, girth, and overall width around their body, and because we could compare those measurements to an accurate weight that we get on a weekly basis, we're able to compare that information to aerial footage taken by drones of killer whales living out in the ocean. And that would help us to know if the killer whales out in the ocean are living a healthy lifestyle and are at an appropriate size for their age. Something else you guys may notice as our trainers are interacting with the whales today, they are feeding them lots of ice and fish, but they are not chewing their food at all. They do have teeth in their mouth, as you might be able to see Kamea showing off over there, but those teeth are just used for ripping or shredding of their prey. They swallow everything whole. They can swallow something up to probably about 20 pounds whole without needing to rip or shred that to pieces. Those teeth are also an important tool for them with communication to the other members of their pod, though. You might notice some superficial, what look like scratch marks on the killer whales. Those are called rake marks. And this is one of the ways that they communicate and interact with each other. They don't have hands like we do or like other animals, so they will use their mouths either during play or if a mother is interacting with her calf and teaching her the ways of the land. Sakari and Kamea were both born here at Seaworld San Antonio. The average size of a baby killer whale is about 300 pounds and 6 feet long. So it's the size of a full-grown man, and a really big, strong, full-grown man at that. After that time, mom is pregnant for 17 months, and when she gives birth, mom and calf are inseparable for the first couple months of a killer whale's life. Mom has to teach the baby killer whale lots of important life skills, such as how to eat and breathe and swim and interact with the rest members of the pod. Sakari and Kamea here are juvenile killer whales, so they are not quite full-grown. Kamea weighs about 2,800 pounds and Sakari weighs about 3,900 pounds. Their mother, Takara, as an adult female, is about 4,700 pounds, so both of them will have lots of growing to do as they continue to spend their time here with us. And all right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Kamea and Sakari have a special killer whale goodbye to give you guys. We thank you so much for joining us today. Hope everyone had a fabulous time meeting all 5 of our killer whales and some of our trainers. At this time, we do encourage you guys to grab some last-minute food if you're still hungry. Other than that, we do have to clear our back area here by 1 o'clock so that we can get ready for our upcoming presentation. Now, you guys will have the ability to attend that presentation if you'd like. As you're exiting the stadium today, there will be entrances right along that pathway right there. Like I said, we enjoyed hanging out with you guys, and have a great day. Bye, everyone.